Hi, I'm Sonia Shivago.
I'm Adriana Villi.
We are actors,
Writers,
directors,
producers,
and we're two best friends
who made a movie
about two best friends.
Our movie is called Virgins by Choice. Join us for some real girl talk as we dive into some deep issues.
Unfiltered
Yes.
girl talk. You're welcome.
Real life, baby. Real life. Hello.
Hello, Internet.
There's an elephant in the room.
Yes, there is. This is Elfie. Very original name, I know. Elfie. And Elfie's here to help us talk about therapy.
Sometimes you need a finger puppet to discuss these types of things.
That's a type of therapy, isn't it?
Probably. I mean, right now there's therapy of all kinds, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. We are talking about therapy. This is something that we explore in the film at great lengths, all different kinds of therapy.
Yes.
And also the making the film was therapeutic.
Exactly.
So,
but the elephant is important
It is.
because, I know I feel like recently, maybe, I don't even know, the last 5 years, maybe a little bit longer, therapy's become something more mainstream that people talk about more openly. But not that long ago, it considered for some people a taboo topic. Even in the film, my character says, I can't go to therapy, right? That's
and I'm
just
like,
not how I was raised,
about it.
right?
Just think about it.
Yeah.
Just think about it.
So that's it. Sometimes we have good friends that, lead us into the right path. I'm going to take that elephant. The elephant's leaving the room.
Wait, before I put the elephant away,
Busted it out.
I'm going to just say what the elephant in the room, the other elephant in the room.
What is it?
We have had the same therapist, but not at the same time. Like we don't do
We don't
counseling
see her
together. But at a time where I really was like, oh, I want to start therapy. I want to go to therapy. And it's very hard. You have to find the right person.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So if you've ever been to therapy before and you're like, therapy's not for me or it doesn't work for me. I totally understand that feeling. But it sometimes takes a while to find that right person.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a few people before I had some really good time with certain people in my life that were great. But right before I found our communal therapist, I had gone through a few others and they were okay. And I was getting some help, but not to the level that I did once I found my current person.
And because we are basically two nuts in a sack, cut from the same, two peas in a pod, cut from the same cloth, I was like, who do you like? Who's working for you? Because I instead of me having to do all this research now, tell me where the good stuff is.
Plus, knowing, we know each other so well, we're so close. So, I was quite confident that she would connect with, my therapist. I didn't really have any doubts. I didn't think she'd be like, oh, she's not for me. So that was helpful. And honestly,
her name is a secret.
Her name is a secret. Of course it is. It is a secret. This is the thing. Word of mouth is really great. If you know someone who's already seeing somebody that it works for them, that's great. And there's a lot of ways to seek counseling and therapy. If you don't have the finances, there is funding available. Sometimes it's very difficult. I'm not going to say that it's easy, but there are ways. If you talk to your primary healthcare practitioner, sometimes through that it's possible. Sometimes there's different organizations that offer either a sliding scale or some free therapy, depending on maybe your cultural background, or there's different organizations that do different things to help in that way, so that if you don't have the finances or the means to do that, that is also an option to try to get some free counseling.
And there's always counselors that are starting out that need to build clients that might have lower fees.
Exactly.
Or need to do practicum. And now with online, like my therapy is online most of the time. So it doesn't have to be just from your country. Like anywhere in the world, you could find someone and find a way to transfer payment. So there's so many resources now. Actually, we're so lucky in our generation.
We really
didn't have that option before.
Totally.
Even though therapy is still taboo. Not as bad as it used to be for like our parents. Like literally, like you'd say, have you considered therapy? And they're like, I'm not crazy. Like that would be, I'm like,
That's the
why would I go to
answer.
therapy? I'm not crazy. Like
And
we've come a long way.
We've come a long way for sure. But you know,
listen, I'm in therapy and I'm still crazy. I'm a nut. Crazy in a fun way.
We accept that excitement.
Crazy is kooky for me because that's just using that word crazy. Like
we don't mean it in any, we mean it in a fun way.
It's Britney Spears we got to blame. Because,
what happened?
No, that song.
What?
Do you drive me crazy? Right? That's Britney.
That's Britney.
Well, like we've just kind of used that word so much. You're so crazy. I think we even say that in the phone. You're so silly.
Yeah,
so
we say that, but it's more not in a, we're not saying it in a derogatory way whatsoever.
That's what,
in a fun way, like, oh, you know.
So anyway.
Be crazy tonight.
But we've come a long way from back
way.
then. But we still have a lot way to go. Like mental health is not as much of a priority as our physical health still.
And it's still something that seems to be so separate when really it's very interconnected. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, some doctors, if you have a really great family doctor, they might kind of talk about the correlation or help you understand the correlation. But it's still very separate. We're sometimes really archaic, to be honest, how separate it is because it's so intertwined, our mental health and physical health.
It wouldn't even be that hard. Like here in Canada, you can get like a yearly physical exam. Mm-hmm. It's covered by the government.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be that hard to make like mental health part of that. Yeah. Like do a mental assessment once a year. Like, right? Like it's disappointing still to see how hard it is to normalize. Like there's so many, you don't have to be in crisis to get the benefits of therapy.
Exactly. Sometimes it's better to get some benefits of therapy when you're not in crisis so that when you are in crisis, you already have some tools.
Exactly.
And you have somebody that you can call because you already have a relationship with them.
Hi. The website said this session was full, but I just wanted to know if you have a cancellation, could you please let me know? Really? Oh my God, I'm so glad I checked. Yeah. Oh no, yeah, I'm safe. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, so in the film, we show different kinds of therapy.
Yes.
So for Luna, she goes to a narcissistic support group to deal with recovery from her former narcissistic relationship. Mm-hmm. And so we see like a group therapy type.
Yeah.
Where she's going and she's starting to make connections with people that have gone through the same thing. So that's like,
and it's led by an expert. It's led by an expert in the field for narcissistic abuse.
Inspired by the real life Dr. Ramani. Dr. Ramani is a narcissist expert.
For abuse, exactly.
Just look at her videos online, read her books, join her healing program. She's amazing.
So this is it. There's other resources besides group therapy or one-on-one therapy, but there's even, you can get expert feedback in some of these places. For example, someone like Dr. Ramani, who has programs for something very specific like narcissistic abuse.
Then we have dance therapy.
We do have dance therapy. So my character loves to dance. Actually, both our characters use dance as therapy. My character is just a dancer her whole life. So dancing is just therapy for her. It's not even something she talks about or is even aware of. It's just, it brings her so much life. And I think that's part of even being in therapy is coming back to things that bring you joy, right? So that's for her a way that she expresses, that healing. And Luna as well. Luna
puts on a show, a performance, which is like art therapy.
Yeah, lots of art therapy in that because there's multiple modalities within that show that she uses, right?
Dance and music.
Yeah, she writes a song, right?
And spoken, like monologue.
Yeah.
So and for me, and I think, well, that's kind of what we did with our film. It is a bit of an art therapy exercise.
Yeah, it's like the movie's fictional, but when you're a writer, you can do so much to make something fictional, but you're talking from a real place, a vulnerable place.
We talk from the truth of pain.
Exactly. You speak from the truth of pain, but you create something like a totally fictional world around it and all these other things, but it's authentic because it comes from that real space of things, pain in our own lives, right?
And there's a truth. There's a truth behind, the essence of our characters.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So, and then we just, use storytelling and fiction to, tell the story. But a lot of the things like the friendship aspect is interesting because the characters help each other heal. But then we as collaborators helped each other heal by making this film and writing this film. And then
the whole process actually was so like therapeutic, from writing the film to filming the film, because then we were acting in the film. So you're actually having to act out the things, some of the things that we wrote, that were really emotional, dealing with all these emotional issues. And that's therapy.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like you do use, and I have used like role play and therapy.
There's sometimes, maybe you may be familiar with this or not, when you recognize that there's certain parts that you have. So we're super complex, and sometimes in therapy, your therapist is able to help you name certain parts. So like you might have a protector, and so that protector is serving a certain purpose, but maybe sometimes gets a little out of line, and the protector is causing some turmoil. So you kind of have this inner dialogue or conversation with this protector or your inner child.
Yes, everyone's heard of that one.
The inner child, we all kind of know it's becoming a lot more mainstream to talk about that inner child, but having that conversation with your inner child, which is very much like writing a script, or like, you're kind of role playing what's going on.
The inner child.
The inner child
is here.
Embrace the inner child.
We do Reiki in the film as well.
You want to make sure though that your energy field is clear and we get those cords disconnected.
So there's energy work you could do as therapy. It doesn't always have to be talk therapy. So I think that's really important. So we would talk about dance, we talked about art.
Yes, exactly.
Somatic healing, right? Like
movement
and energetic. Like I do believe like if that's something that you're open to or you believe in, that it could really help. It's really helped me. It really feels like a really deep tissue massage, like energetically, like, or like you're getting your teeth cleaned, but it's like your aura, like it's amazing. Don't diss it till you try it.
I will say, just as much as you would research a therapist, I would research any other type of healer.
Exactly.
And make sure that you feel that there's someone that you feel safe with and that's a comfortable person. Again, recommendations are always great, as in, someone that's been, so that's always great because you want to be able to feel safe if you're in a vulnerable state. And that's with anybody that you kind of allow into your space when you're in a vulnerable situation, especially. Yeah.
And do be careful with trying something for the first time by yourself as a way of therapy. Like some people talk about plant medicine. And that's interesting. It's not something I have a lot of experience with at all. But I know like some people want to go do like a shamanistic ayahuasca journey. And like don't try to do that by yourself or without a real practitioner like that knows what they're doing, because you're like, again, you're taking a big risk.
Yes, you need to be, and this is all back to being safe, right? Like sometimes when we're going through healing or if you're in crisis or you're going through deep depression or whatever that is that has brought you to therapy, and you're in that vulnerable state, then sometimes we feel so desperate that you want to try anything to feel better. And that's when we want to be careful not to be vulnerable again and going with someone or doing something that would potentially open us up to an unsafe situation. So just to use a lot of wisdom and discernment before opening yourself up to something like that.
And maybe don't go like hardcore ayahuasca journey in the middle of nowhere if you've never even microdosed like a mushroom. Like, like don't go do that. Like don't go from 0 to 100. Like take it seriously. And again, I'm not advocating for you to do that, but I know
we have no experience with that, but people
do that. They do use plants, and sometimes it's prescribed. Like sometimes it's actually prescribed, right? Yeah. But like with anything,
exercise that wisdom.
Exactly.
Yes, exercise that wisdom. Do the homework, do the research.
Make sure it is helping more than hurting you.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Want to keep that safety is the most important thing, especially when you're vulnerable. And
especially when you're vulnerable.
Especially.
Because unfortunately we do live in a world where some people prey on vulnerable people, and then they offer you this program that's going to change your life, but it costs so much money. So I'd be skeptical of someone trying to promise you like a quick fix, and you have to pay money to them.
And when you're that, and it's we feel you, like when you feel that pain or you're feeling desperate, that's when you're susceptible to making a decision that maybe you wouldn't have normally made. Right. But this is us with that, like,
we're being mothers right now.
Warning in our hearts, just to be safe. And again, just that wise in who you choose to open yourself up to, whether it's a person for Reiki or therapy or however you choose to walk out that healing.
Don't pay more attention to what's on the back of the food you're buying than the person you're enlisting to help you with your most vulnerable side.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. Especially if you suffered trauma, right? I mean, it's some deep work that you do when you're going through therapy. So you want to be careful.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just want to circle back to the art. You don't have to be an artist in order to benefit from art therapy or to explore some type of art. And you could even paint. I've done painting as part of therapy, finger painting,
collages.
Yeah. And some of these things you can find prompts for online, like, just doing a simple search, like to have some kind of a question or something to do. And then it kind of prompts you to do whatever finger painting, and it gives you like what materials you need and how to actually perform that exercise. But you can actually get a lot out of some of these things when you're not doing necessarily talk therapy. And again, you don't have to be an artist, even to write a poem or something. You don't have to be someone that considers themselves artistic to benefit from some of these artistic ways of therapy or therapeutic exercises.
I want to touch on self-help because it seems like at that bookstore, the self-help aisle just keeps getting bigger, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But I have mixed feelings about it because I think there are some books that are amazing resources.
Absolutely.
And I also think that you could get stuck in the I can do this all by myself trap of I'm just going to find the right books. I'm going to just keep reading books, but you're not actually integrating it into practice, and you don't have someone that's looking at you and being able to catch you before you slip. So that's where if you think you can do it all by yourself, you can only get so far. Maybe it's a good introduction to like language and kind of just looking a little bit under the rock. But if you're really going to do that dangerous shadow work of looking at all this stuff, doing it alone with a self-help book,
it can be challenging. It's not impossible. I don't want to say it's impossible because I think that for some people that might be their only avenue that's possible for them. And it's better. It's better than not doing anything at all. You will learn, you will find tools. But maybe the answer there is also kind of what Lily and Luna did. They did seek therapy. Both characters do seek outside therapy, but part of their therapy was with each other. So
they did a burning ritual.
Yeah.
They do a burning ritual where they get together and they write things they want to release. And then they put it in the cauldron and then they set it on fire and right. So that's kind of like ritual.
Yeah. It's like that accountability, saying it to someone else, knowing some of those intimate things and being able to support you in that journey can be something useful than just going it alone, let's say with a resource. But if we're definitely, we encourage finding a professional if it's possible.
And it might be like a self-help book or an audio tape or a podcast or a documentary gets you like, it's the first step you take before then you seek, working with a practitioner, on a bigger basis.
And sometimes it goes in seasons. You might see someone for a particular season. Maybe you're in crisis and this is the time you really need that outside input. You learn some of those tools and then you don't necessarily see them on a regular basis anymore. And then your work is on your own through more resources or through podcasts or whatever ways that you've learned to kind of manage your own mental health and well-being. But there's definitely times and seasons for that professional outside assistance, because we do need each other, and there's reasons they're experts in these fields. They do have education and tools, and that's beyond our own, and that's what they're there for. You're helping them fulfill their purpose. You know, to be there for you is part of them fulfilling their own call on the earth. So it's beautiful.
And there's many ways to heal.
Yeah.
And one way we haven't mentioned yet is spiritual healing. We talk about energetic, but there's something beautiful about going to church.
If you have faith, you know, maybe part of that healing or part of that therapy is going to church, whatever faith place that you worship in. That could be another way to connect and to help healing. I mean, just when you're in a state of crisis, or when you're struggling, even just the belief and knowing that there is a higher power out there in the world that has love for you and that is holding on to you, even when you feel like nothing is holding you and the ground has fallen beneath you, but just kind of holding on to that there is something good out there that has got your back. Can be a source of strength, and can help you. And even just the community of being, you know, for myself, I've been, you know, my background is a Christian background. So, you know, like if I'm in church, they're singing really beautiful songs about love and about healing, and just being in a place like that can be really uplifting for you if you have a connection to it, or you're open to a connection to it.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if there's any drawback to exploring therapy. Like there's only a lot to gain, especially if you've done your homework and found somebody reputable and good.
Yes.
Again, there's things like we don't get educated in our education system in a way where we're set up for success at life. Like we're almost set up to fail. Like we're set up like, the world's your oyster and anything is possible. And then just do the work and you'll get the good grades, and then everything's going to fall into alignment and blah, 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 blah. And then you get out into the real world and after school and you're like, wait, the life's unfair and I don't know how to deal with this. And I don't know how to deal with disappointment. I don't know how to deal with failure. Like where else are you going to learn these tools? Like, and parents are not necessarily always equipped to teach this stuff because they also need their own therapy. And then like the grandparents needed the therapy. And we talked about this, like it's only now that our generations, everyone's like, you're in therapy, I'm in therapy, right? But this is,
and some of our grandparents like suffered through war and had that trauma.
Generational trauma is real and
passed on through,
but it can be broken with you, and like but to look at our elders all the time for their advice on things sometimes is not, it's more on the rare side that your family's going to be like it's going to tell you the things that the therapist could tell you.
Yeah, it's a totally different thing.
It's
like
different.
Your family may be loving and supportive, and of course they have. If they are loving and supportive, and they have your best interests at heart, then for sure, you know, if that's part of how you live your life is to, you know, bounce ideas off them, and that's wonderful. But having someone neutral who knows
unbiased.
The things that you neutral, unbiased, someone that knows the things that you struggle with, that maybe knows even some of the dynamics between you and your family, is able to help you navigate in a different way. And again, we're talking about professionals. Your parents may love you, and you know, but all our parents are human, and so even the most well-meaning parents, you know, gave us something that, you know, we carry with us that maybe is not the best.
Well, I think
so it's harder for them to help you with that.
Yes, and I think it's too close to home. Like they look at you with these unconditional love, and it's hard for them to see, you know, where you need work sometimes.
Yeah. And again, they're just not equipped. It's so, I mean, even, and some of them may have some level of being equipped, but again, it's a very close relationship. So it doesn't mean that some of their opinions are not valued. Of course, if like you have to know that relationship and that dynamic. But in terms of your actual healing, I think what we have found is that, I'll speak for myself, is that I feel like therapy has only helped me become the more like a more authentic version of myself, and really helped me look at some of my behaviors and some of my patterns that were not serving me, and help me become the woman that I am. That's one aspect that has helped me. There's been other aspects. For example, we didn't talk about this, but we were in an acting class together. That's how we met. Okay. That's how we met. And that acting class, it was a Meisner acting class. That was like therapy in a lot of ways.
Fun fact, Robin K. Pilarski from the Robin K. Studios, actually the actress that is playing.
That's right. Our Dr.
Oliveira.
Oliveira.
That's how you say the name. We know how we call her. We know how to pronounce our characters' names.
We've had some, back and forth with that during the filming.
Which is kind of funny because we made it come full circle by putting our acting coach in the film.
Exactly. And especially in a role where she is leading this group therapy session.
Do whatever you need to do to make yourself feel comfortable. Do not take my word as the voice of God.
It's just a different way of becoming, again, more of your own person. Really who you truly are, learning who you truly are, apart from the conditioning of society, the conditioning of our homes we grew up in, all the things that tell you who and what you should be, whereas sometimes we need to just ask that of ourselves. And I think that besides dealing with trauma, which therapy does, and, dealing with some of the behaviors that maybe are not serving us, but then it's that coming into your own person, and really getting closer to that core of who you are, which I like. Here's another little just side note that I believe like when we're kids, we have a core of who we are, and then the world, the world happens to us, life happens to us, and then sometimes we lose that. So sometimes I think it's almost coming back to some of those core things within ourselves, and really just being able to express that expression of ourselves into the world. Yeah.
Yes. The woman who did Reiki on me recently told me that goal of the energy healing is to get back to the 10-year-old me before, like who I was when I was more optimistic about life.
Yeah.
Just almost like this fearlessness, right? That essence of like, and so that's just interesting that you said that. So there's different ways, there's different modalities. You have to reflect on what's going to work for you. And again, it may not be traditional talk therapy that works for you. It also might be a combination. Like I like a little of this, I like a little of that. I like my talk therapy, but then I like my Reiki. And then sometimes I want to do an oracle reading and pull a card.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't talk about, but sometimes even for people that have faith and like a Christian faith, like just getting prayer.
Yes.
Like prayer can be therapy. Just people like actually pouring out good things into you and standing with you and believing in healing for you for whatever it is that you're looking for is also, that's again, that community feeling.
Pet therapy. Let's not forget.
Yes. Pet therapy.
That is so lovely. And
I think, I don't know. I know for me, I think, touching on a bunch of different things all just elevates everything. So sometimes it's good to be open to different ways of healing yourself,
Maybe also just taking off the expectation of having to know, like, because I could see how you would say, well, I don't know what's going to work for me. So maybe instead of making like a big commitment on one thing, just try like, okay, this week I'm going to try this, or today I'm going to try this, and just experiment. Like, try things and be like, oh, you know what? I really love dance therapy, or like I really love meditation or yoga. Like that is really helping.
Yes.
Then you do more of that. Like, why do we always think that we need to know what we need? And we always need to know everything before we do something. Like if we look at more like we're scientists, we're just trying to explore scientists.
I will say though, once you find something that you're gravitating towards, that consistency is important. So actually like doing it for a season, and same thing with trying a therapist out. Sometimes it takes a while because you have to get to know them and they have to get to know you, which can be really frustrating. And I feel for you if you've gone through a few therapists and it's like you feel like you're starting from square one again. It can be really frustrating. I get it. But that it's like you have to give it a chance sometimes, right? Like to see what it's going to do, because it takes time. It's not
It's a
something
30-day trial.
I don't know about 30 days, but it takes time.
Usually. There's usually a 30-day trial. Usually no within 30 hours.
30 hours,
No.
30 days. You need some time. You need some time. And then once you've given something, you know, some kind of significant amount of consistency and time, and then you're like, okay, this is not quite the thing. You know, and maybe trying a bunch at the beginning. And if you're not sure, then just kind of deciding to stick with one could be an option. But definitely the consistency, I will say, is important, because I know sometimes when you're in the thick of it, it's like, well, nothing is working. I still feel like crap. And that's a real thing. And I'm with you. I feel that I've been there. But it's that you kind of have to keep going,
yes,
right?
It's like
going to the gym.
Yes.
It's like you don't get the big muscles just from that first time that you went to that gym and you lifted those dumbbells, right? Like it takes time to start seeing the results, to start feeling stronger. Yes. And it's the same with therapy, in any modality.
And you will have breakthroughs where like a lot happens all at once, and then it peters off a bit.
Yeah, in seasons, for sure.
Also, when you start going to therapy and seeing how amazing it is, don't do what we're doing and tell everyone to go to therapy. Don't be us.
Okay.
Don't go around preaching
let's talk about it. This is the truth. This is how we are, because when we love something and it's helped us so much, we can't help ourselves. We're just like, oh my gosh, you have to try this thing. It's like really going to help you. So we're speaking from love. We're
just advocating for what we know has helped us.
Exactly.
And others.
Yeah.
But it could be tempting to then like go and like psychoanalyze everybody and be like, oh my God, like I think you have this and you have anxiety and you have depression. Like you can encourage you can talk about how therapy is helping you, but like don't alienate yourself from your friends and family by telling them they all need therapy, because you know, I've fallen into that trap of literally going through everyone in my life and be like, you know what? I think you need therapy. And I'm like, I'm not going to therapy. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, just because just keep it to yourself. Like, you probably are right. They probably could benefit. Like, you're probably onto something. But just people, you can't change people. You can't.
Something we learn in therapy.
Yes. You have to understand that people are going to want to change on their own, and you can't force someone to go through a program if they don't want to do the work. It'll just be a waste of money and a waste of time. So that's just keep that in mind when it comes to applying it for others, that you can have conversation about it. But sometimes you tell someone, I think you should do that, and then there's almost this like behavior where it's like, oh well, I'm going to do the opposite. So you also have to be careful about telling people what to do, because they might do the opposite, just because I think that's how we are wired sometimes as humans. It's like interesting,
that's just how it is sometimes.
So just keep that in mind. We're just talking about it because it relates to film, and we want to support therapy and mental health.
Yeah, and because like we said, it has helped us, right? So, that's just how it is. It's like when you try that new shade of lipstick and you just want to tell all your friends about it. That's how it goes.
It's something where people need to want to help themselves, and then the work can begin, and then you can get a lot done in therapy. But if you're sitting there in therapy and like, how much longer? Like, you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, it's definitely something you have to actually want for yourself. You have to want and actually trust that maybe there is something that can help you.
And this is interesting segue into couples counseling. Because imagine that you're the one who really wants to go to therapy with your partner, and they don't want to go, and you kind of drag them into the room. I feel like could be quite disappointing. It might give you validation, because if you don't have your own additional therapy, and then that counselor or therapist is helping you like understand like maybe the dysfunction in the relationship. So it might help you, but it might not help the relationship.
True. But that's a whole,
if the other person is sitting there being like, I'm only here because I was like told I have to be here.
Yeah.
Right. So
but that's a whole nother,
we're going into that.
If you're in that situation, that's also a really difficult situation. And sometimes one party doesn't want to be there, but if that's your standard, then you have to uphold what you feel is what is necessary for your relationship and walk that out. right?
And then on the other hand, there's couples who they start dating and they're like, let's go to therapy already together because they want to do that.
They want to get their tools.
And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Basically, everything is okay. Just know thyself, know yourself, know what you need. And again, it might look different. And again, there's probably a lot of things we didn't touch on today, like different healing modalities.
Oh yeah. We just touched on what we had from the film and things we've experienced, but there's probably so many that we don't even know. So we're just giving a taste here today.
And maybe if you want to comment on if you have done therapy, what has worked for you in the comments below. And
even resources. I love knowing about a good resource.
Good self-help book.
Yeah, please comment. We'd love that. And if you liked this video, give it a nice thumbs up, a good like.
And if you didn't, don't say anything.
Subscribe to catch more videos.
Bye.
Bye from us and the elephant. See you later.